Hello, friends. Let us go a little bit further into the grand novel written by William Golding, the Nobel laureate, and which is entitled Lord of the Flies. This novel gained great popularity despite the fact that the publication of this book was denied for two reasons. That people did not believe that a teacher would have produced it, and they had very little opinion, a bleak opinion of this work. And second, being that the person who has returned from the war should be writing something which will be about the direct aftermaths of war. But then, when it was after all published, the popularity that came to encompass this work was so immense that several symposiums, seminars, and conferences were in fact organized to delve deep into the causes of this work. What drove William Golding to write this down? What were the key driving facts that caused the composition of this book, Lord of the Flies? It was the first work and it was an immense success. So we'll try to find out what are the reasons, what are the major aspects of the novel Lord of the Flies which are accountable to the great popularity and the great impact of this book. And we'll see them one by one. The first major theme of the Lord of the Flies is that humans are essentially barbaric, if not downright evil. William Golding had a very strong opinion of the innate evil in the persona of human beings. He was a first-hand witness to the sufferings that were caused to humanity by the evil that dwelt in the heart of humanity. So, the first and the foremost theme that is the cause of the immense success of this work is that it speaks outrightly of the barbaric nature of human beings. They may not be downright evil, not that at the core lies evil, but it surfaces up at the slightest opportunity. And this is clear from the instance, from the subject matter, from the plot that is of this novel, that is about the stranded boys who, after the crashing of a plane, find themselves on a desolate island where there is no human other than this handful of boys. And these boys begin by establishing a society similar to the one they left behind in England. So, what they are representing the place, the native land that they have left, that was their own, and that had caused them to be what they were. And what did England teach them? It taught them the civic law to establish themselves under a code of conduct. But what was that code of conduct? The code of conduct was to exercise power, to settle power amongst themselves. So soon their society has, therefore, because it had in its core the power factor, so it degenerated into rival clans ruled by fear and violence. So, those who were the sufferers of a destiny that was segregation from their inmates, that was, in fact, finding themselves in a baffled state, are still not devoid of the emotions of fear and violence. We soon see that these boys are fear stricken for their own lot. Each and everyone has got that fear of an invisible destiny that could be lying waiting for them, but that they were not deprived of violence. They did not unite together to find for themselves a, a, a happy state of existence. Instead, they indulge in violence. And the violence is so immense that even before the book is over, 3 boys have been killed. These boys are just, they are not even adults. And how should they be driving themselves into this kind of the environment of fear and violence? It speaks volumes of what actually was existing in the state of states. In the state of states, everyone was suspicious of the other during the World War II. In fact, it found its roots in fear. And what kind of fear? Because people were trying to establish themselves as powers. And anyone who they thought was preventing them from exercising their absolute tyranny had to be dispensed of. And the same is happening with these boys. So, the major theme, the first and the major theme of The Lord of the Flies is to speak that evil resides in us and that barbarism is our code of conduct. At the slightest opportunity, we reveal it. And in fact, the boys who are there, they are representatives of the whole humanity. We are civil only so long as we are not touched by fear and not touched by violence. If fear takes the better of us, we will bare our teeth. And if violence is ignited, no one will want to stay back. And they'll do it, they'll express it as much as they can. The second major key character of this novel is that this novel had much to say, but all that had to be said covertly. So this novel is an allegory. The boys are all of us. The place, the island, is not the island just, it is the whole world. it is the human heart, where whatever is planted will want a complete occupation. So, this novel is an allegory, which is a story in which characters, settings, and events stand for things larger than themselves. There are great symbolic references to the state of affairs that had been earlier and which are a promise for the succeeding ages. If desire for power could have the whole humanity be wiped out, because when the two atom bombs were dropped, that was done with the desire to dispense of all the adversaries. And who is an adversary? An adversary is the one who challenges the absolute power of one. And this world, that world in which even Yeats had said in his poem that all the wars began because people said that they wanted to bring the world under one flag. That means under the absolute tyranny of one. And who would that one be? But everyone was in the battle to be the number one. And in this battle, the one that was the worst brute would be the victor. So, everything, the characters, they are symbols of all of us. The setting, the conditions in which the desire, the lust for power is uppermost is the setting. And the events that arise out of the fear and violence are the same and are supposed to be the one, the, the, the feelings that will continue to exist until we have all been cleared off. And for example, the island represents the world. Ralph and Jack, the two uh, leading personages in this novel, Ralph, the allegorical figure for harmony, um, for goodness, in a way, and Jack, the one who is symbolic of the fear and of violence. They symbolize different approaches to leadership. So, Ralph stands for that leadership that wants to exist in a state of coexistence, peaceful coexistence. And Jack symbolizes that leadership which wants to govern by generating fear and violence among the inmates. So, this is the importance of this novel lies in the fact that things of the times have been represented as things happening on a small island, and the island which is at the end burnt to ashes, that majestic island which could have become the world for these boys, in fact is burnt. The desires, the unrestricted desire for power, how it will come to an end is in fact William Golding's prophecy for the times and for all times. And third important thing is William Golding wrote Lord of the Flies following World War II, during which the Nazis exterminated 6 million Jews and the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs in Japan. In this context, the novel's profound pessimism is understandable. So there is a profound pessimism. William Golding, what he had said once, that in fact man is essentially bad. He had said once, I began to see what people were capable of doing. So, in his expedition in the World War II, because he partook in that, he said that I began to see what people were capable of doing. Anyone who moved through those years without understanding that man produces evil just as a bee produces honey must have been blind or wrong in the head. So this pessimism, this complete negation of any kind of innate goodness in humanity, which William Golding, the great Nobel laureate, came to assess from the happenings in his times, is indicative of a denial of any kind of goodness come out from human beings. We are all the flies, and the one who comes, who desires to usurp power, is the Lord of the Flies. This Lord of the Flies is the mind, is the heart that wants to exercise absolute power over everyone who he believes are flies, as is insignificant, as minute organisms as could be, and with one swish of uh, uh, any instrument would be killed in multitudes. So the representation of the times, of his times, of the 20th century has been done at its best in this novel, The Lord of the Flies. This is all for today. Thank you.